Welcome to the MANformation seminar. This teleseminar will tell you all about the mindset and the actions of a powerful alpha male. Now, during this session, we are going to talk about an introduction. I'm going to give you an overview of what will be happening, not only in this session, but also during our 6 sessions. I want you to learn from this material over and over again, and you will find out that you will indeed learn from this information at different levels, at different depths, the more times you hear it. 6 months from now, you'll be a different man. I guarantee you that. When you are a different man 6 months from now, you will hear the same information, and that same information will take you to an even higher level. So treat these MP3s like gold so you will have your continued growth. Have a pen and paper ready to take some serious notes. As you can see, I'm extremely passionate about this information, and you'll learn more exactly why that is. And I'm extremely passionate about helping you take this information, not just learn it, actually execute it, and let it take you to higher and higher levels of your life, creating more options for yourself and helping you create a better quality of life. And not just during the next 6 months, not just during the next 2 years, 10 years from now. You will learn from this program in so many ways that you won't be able to track back to this great investment that you made at this period of time. 10 years from now, you're going to be at a level that started by this commitment that you made, by you absorbing this information, by you entertaining the ideas, you letting the concepts marinate and build, and you take action, you build momentum. You're going to be learning from this information for years to come. Have a pen and paper ready to take some serious notes. Studies have shown when you write something down, even if you weren't to review your notes later on, just the action of writing it down, thinking of the concept while you're writing it down, communicating to yourself in writing, the retention rate becomes much, much higher when you do. So just for the discipline, just for the exercise of it, write serious, copious notes. Any thoughts you might have, any questions that you might have. That's one thing about this seminar. You're going to have questions. We have 9 hours to cover. And when you have a question, I want you to write that down. When you seek answers to your questions, those answers will become available to you. It may not happen during this session. It may not happen until our 8th hour. It may not happen until 2 weeks after the seminar, when you're looking on the internet and it reminds you of something that was told to you. Those answers, however, will come to you when you make it a point to write them down and identify them. It's no different than when you want that special car, that special red, special model car, and all of a sudden they're available all over the place to you. Did those cars just become available? Did people just go on a run of buying those cars and driving those cars all around you and in your city just because you made the decision to desire to have that car? Or were they always there? Okay, you made it available in your reticular activator part of your brain, and then those references that were always there, it became available to you. And I want you to write down questions because those answers will come to you. I'm not sure if they'll come sooner or later. They will come to you once you've identified it, what those questions are. Those answers will come. So again, have a pen and paper ready to take some serious notes. Any questions you may have, you can email them to me later. Any questions you might have, you want to write those down because they may be answered over this seminar or in the 5 seminars that we have in the future. Now, I want you to get your PDF file and follow along with me and take notes as I speak. All right, so now I'm just going to get into the introduction, talk about this program. And a part of a great teacher throughout time is they're able to tell stories that have special meaning to them, that they're passionate about, that get a point across. Now, when I tell you my stories, you'll hear my passion. Hopefully you'll get my point of what I'm trying to say, and I will explain what my point is. I want you to do your best job of being a matcher. And what that is, it's a person who will find any commonalities, any similarities in anything that is being said to him. All right, and I want you to do that for a reason. I want you to get most out of this. There are people who are mismatchers who will find discrepancies in anything that is said to them. Something can be a 99% accurate. A big message could be taken from what is said, yet they see that 1% inconsistency and they really zone in on that. And they don't get the full message. You don't want to be a mismatcher. I want you to be, for your growth, for your absorption of this material, I want you to be a matcher and look for commonalities in my stories and how my story can be your story. One night I was going out to dinner with a friend of mine. He called me after our work day and just wanted to meet up. It was during the week. It was something really casual. Now, this friend of mine is a great guy. He's friendly. He sees the positive in everything. I really like hanging around my friend John. He's a pleasure. He's always positive. And maybe you're like me. When you are around people like that, you are a better person. You are more giving. You watch out for them because you know that it's reciprocated and appreciated. Well, that's the kind of friend that John is to me. All right, so we were going out to a nice casual dinner. And John and I have gone out many times, so we've talked about certain things, what our likes, what our dislikes are, things that we like to do when we go out. So we got to the restaurant, and they were going to put us in this corner, in this particular table. But we like to see the scenery, especially near the front door, especially at this restaurant, which is in the hub of downtown. So instead of going to that table, I went to the hostess and I said, hey, can we have that table? Prime location in the restaurant where we could just see everything. It was a nice big booth. There were two of us, but this booth could fit four. It was a prime location. At the same time, it was all busy. It was all dirty. It had the cups and the plates and everything from the diners who were there before. So I said, hey, I don't mind. We'll wait a little while until that gets cleaned up. So we had this prime spot. So I led the way to my friend and John and I going to the table. Now, I was conscious and I look out for my buddies. And I knew that John thinks the same way I do. We like the table that sits and looks towards the door so we can see all the action. So being the nice guy that I am, without even John asking, without even him asking, I went to the other side so my buddy John can have the seat, the prime seat, without even asking, getting the view. Now, we had a great dinner, great time connecting. Like I said, I really enjoyed my time with John. Now, at the end of the meal, the restaurant was running a promotion. And what this promotion was, they gave you a gift certificate that was sealed, and you're not supposed to open that gift certificate. Now, you bring that gift certificate back to the restaurant during your next visit. And at that time, at the end of the meal, the manager comes over and they open it up. And you can get anywhere from 10% off your meal to $200 in gift certificates to dine at this restaurant. It's kind of a great promotion. They build it up as a big deal and a great marketing tool with the manager. Very clever. Now, being the nice guy that I am, and they only had one for the table. Now, this is also a restaurant that I frequent a lot of the time. Now, John rarely goes there, and when he does go there, it's usually my suggestion. Well, being the nice guy that I am, I couldn't just take it for myself. So I said, hey, John, you take it. Now, besides John being a nice guy, I think it's important to say John does very well for himself. He's very wealthy, does a great job. He's worked hard. Certainly doesn't need the $200 gift certificate or the 10% discount. All right? It's just that I felt bad, being the nice guy that I am, to just take it for myself. All right? So think about that story. Think of all the different scenarios that I told you about in the story, and think about how you would react to that. Okay? There's no right or wrong way to react. I just want you to think about how you would react. I want to tell you another story. And this is on Highway 24. That's in the San Francisco Bay Area where I live. Now, when you go from the part of the East Bay Area where I live and you go to San Francisco, there's this highway, Highway 24, and it has 4 lanes. These 4 lanes all funnel down to 2 lanes when it goes through a particular tunnel. All right, so it's a 4-lane road that condenses down to 2 lanes as it goes into the tunnel. Now, those of you, how it is, at least in the United States, with the driving instructions, the protocol, the behavior of the drivers is that the slow-moving traffic stays to the right, and you progress as aggressive as you are and how quickly you want to drive. So the slowest is on the right, the fastest is on the left, and we have 4 lanes. Now, most of the drivers have driven this route plenty of times. They know that this 4-lane road is going to condense into 2 lanes. Now, the courteous drivers already know this. And what they'll do is they'll stay in lane 1, and they'll stay in lane 2. Did someone tell them they had to do that? No. It's just that was their beliefs on what the right way, quote unquote, the right way to be a polite driver. Now you have the more aggressive drivers. Maybe they don't know that this highway is going to condense into 2 lanes. Maybe they're in a rush. Maybe because there's no law saying they can't drive in lanes 3 and 4, they do so they can go way ahead and continue driving at 50, 60 miles per hour. They must get a good 5 miles ahead of all those conscientious, courteous drivers in lanes 1 and 2 who know that it's going to condense into 2 lanes ahead of time. All right? And so they'll just speed up. If you're really aggressive, you're really determined, you really want to cut off some time, you'll drive in lane 3. If you're really over the top, you'll go in lane 4 and you'll go all the way up, even though you know it's going to condense in 2, and then inch your way into the 2 lanes, cutting off 5 miles, maybe 10, 20 minutes off of your commute because you don't have to wait in the line, that same line that those people in lane 1 and 2 are waiting in. Well, let's talk about those drivers in lane 1 and 2. Many of them are just like robots. They just are doing what they're told. They're staying in lane 1 and 2 because they know it has to condense anyway. All right? That's what the vast majority of them are doing. There are some in those lanes that are kind of looking in a disgusted manner at all those drivers in lane 3 and 4, like giving them a look like, what are you doing? You know that you're going to have to inch your way in. That's not fair. And they shake their fists, or they give dirty looks. All right? And especially when it gets down to the end, those people, those angry drivers who stayed in lane 1 and 2, waited their turn. They won't let those drivers in lane 3 and 4 inch their way in. They're going to do everything they can to keep them out. So here's my question is which driver are you? Which one would you be? Would you be one of those quote-unquote courteous drivers on lane 1 and 2? Or would you be one of those more assertive, more aggressive drivers on lane 3 and 4? Hey, it's not against the law to drive in lane 3 and 4, and if someone lets you in, which someone will let you in way up the road, why not take it? So what about you? How would you have acted in both of those situations? That dinner I had with a friend, and with that Highway 24, what type of driver would you be? All right? And I want you to think about that. Now, let me just tell you is that I do these seminars, I do one-on-one coaching, and I get a sense of who people are. And I can tell you this, 100%, almost 100% of the people will tell me, oh, that is me. I'd be in lane 4, I'd pass all of those drivers. Hey, it's legal. I do it. That's the kind of guy I am. You know, I'm not that kind of person who's just going to wait. Why? That's silly. Or when it comes to the restaurant analogy, I would say, hey, I'd keep that for me. Why not? I'd keep that certificate for me, or I'd take the good seat. Heck, Skip, he didn't even ask you to sit in the good seat. All right? So let me just tell you, if you jump to the conclusion, Skip, hey, you sound like a really nice guy, but that's not me. I watch out for me. I'm assertive. I'm aggressive. I get what I want in life. I just want to really ask you, for growth purposes, is that really true in your case? All right? Is that really true? There is no right answer. There's no wrong answer. This is all about stimulating your mind, stimulating thoughts to see if you are truly going in the direction that you want. When you are making your MANformation, if you are that alpha male, that powerful leader who leads his own life and leads other people. And if you're not, how can we get you to that point? It all starts with challenging the way you think. So I want you to think about that and see how you would have reacted. Now, again, I would say most of the people who I talk to, who I pose this question to, will give me the answer that they were the more aggressive, they were more assertive, they watch out for themselves, whether that's true or not. Now, being a speaker, dealing with so many people, I have the unique opportunity to find trends and patterns in the way that people think. And there are these things called undeniable truths. And undeniable truths are statements that pretty much 100% of the people will believe that is true about themselves, that is true about their personality. And again, they're called undeniable truths. You might see a lot of those things in fortune cookies, or you might see them in horoscopes. And you're a person who believes in fortune cookies or horoscopes, and I offend you, well, oh well. Here's an example of an undeniable truth. Hey, I know something about you. I can just tell that you're the type of person that when your back is against the wall, when the heat is on, when the pressure has mounted, that is the time you really kick into gear. That is the time that you use all of your determination, all of your creative abilities, all your resources like time and effort. That's when you put it all together. When your back is on the wall, that's just who you are. Am I right? Here's another undeniable truth. You're a very passionate person, aren't you? Or how about this? When you get in something, when you commit to something, when you are in, you are all in, aren't you? All right? Now, I don't know how many of you out there said, wow, he's talking about me. I want you to try some of those undeniable truths. And I think what you'll find is most people go, yep, that's me. That is exactly me. How did you know that? What are you, clairvoyant or something? You might want to try that as a party and amaze your friends. They're called undeniable truths, and there are quite a few of them that I've found over the years that can create instant rapport and instant connection. The point, though, that I'm talking about with undeniable truths are there are certain things that when said to different people, they will identify with. All right? I want you to go deeper than the superficial, the obvious, what may be obvious to you, answer when I ask questions or I pose different scenarios to you. I want you to go a little bit deeper and really think about this. I want you to at least entertain what I'm saying to see if it really applies to you. If you continue to think the way that you do, you are bound to stay where you are in life. And we want you to grow. We want you to mature. We want more fulfillment, more options, more of the better things in life that are available to you. You know that they're available to you. It's your way of thinking may not allow you to get those things. You may not know how to do it with your current way of thinking. So don't be too quick to judge if something I say is quote unquote right or if it's wrong, or to throw it off and say, hey, that doesn't apply to me. Let what I say marinate. And by marinate, I mean just accept it, just bring it in, okay? Let it marinate. Let it just sit there. Don't reject it. I'm not even telling you to accept it. Just let it marinate to see if it plays out. That's where you'll get the most out of these sessions. That's where you'll experience the growth. when you stimulate your mind to think differently, at least entertain the idea. Many of the lessons that I've learned in my life, they have been taught to me years before I actually learned the lesson, and maybe that's happened to you. I didn't accept what was taught to me until years later. So remember that. Some of the things that I may be explaining, teaching, presenting to you during this teleseminar, you may want to reject. You may want to come to a quick decision. Let it marinate so you can get the most out of it. Maybe, just maybe, you will learn the lesson. You will get the message 6 months, 2 years, 5 years from now, like I have many times throughout my life. Another thing about letting it marinate, entertaining what I have to say, is that we all want to take our lives to higher and higher levels. Maybe you're at a point in your life that something that I say doesn't apply right now where you're at in your life. Maybe you got other things going on, maybe other challenges that something I say may not apply right now. Later on, however, letting it marinate, it might come up. And the lesson that I'm teaching you, the lesson that I want you to entertain, the lesson I want you to let marinate will see the light or become useful later on under different circumstances, under different situations that happen in your life. That's the great thing about learning. There's so many different layers. There are so many different levels to taking your life to the next level. You're going to be growing for the rest of your life. So accept all these, let them marinate. Now, I presented a couple scenarios, and I want you to think about what type of person are you. I have the feeling that many of you are happy with who you are. You've come to the decision of what the appropriate way to act during certain situations are, and they are what I call the result of your rules, beliefs, values, and your standards. We all have these through our experiences, the good things that happen in our life, the bad things, and everything in between. A lot of these lessons we may learn subconsciously. They may sneak in from something our parents said when we were 6 years old and we never questioned them. And it all forms our rules, beliefs, our values, and our standards. And those lessons that were taught, those lessons that you learn, your interpretation creates a perspective, a code of conduct, so to speak, that you will act similar to me or similar to the drivers in lane 1 and 2 or similar to the drivers in lane 3 or 4. It's all the result of what you do in certain situations. They're all the result of your rules, your beliefs, your values, and your standards. And those are things a lot of times we do not question. But that's led you to this point in your life where you are. Now, you're the type of person who would invest and enroll in a seminar, in this information, then you are the type of person who is looking for that edge, that alpha edge that I talk about. You want to take your life, your level of fulfillment to the next level, and you're always looking for ways. So although you may be happy with your life right now, you may be somewhat satisfied, you're always looking for that edge to take it to that next level. And you're not alone. The great thing about the things that I will teach you during our time together is it doesn't matter if you're struggling. It doesn't matter if you're excelling in your life right now. Things are going great. Or if you're somewhere in between. The same principles that will take a man from a struggling point of view and get him to doing a lot better are the very same principles that the man who is doing very well can take him to an even higher level. And during those inevitable times when you have setbacks, these skill sets can help you get back on track and continue where you were before. So this is not a program for losers or guys who are struggling, although it can be massively helpful for you. This is helpful to men who are in all kinds of situations. I have so many men who are actual winners. Winners know the value of coaching. Winners know the value to find an expert who has mastered a particular area of his life, who has focused on a particular area of life that he hasn't, so he can get those years of experience and he can cherry pick them, he can siphon them out, he can skim the gravy off the top and apply it to his life. And I want you to be that type of person. So let's quickly go over the different rules, what that means, rules. Your rules are your opinion of what you are supposed to do and not supposed to do in any given situation. Your rules are what you consider to be the right and the wrong way to think, the right or wrong thing to do, or the right or wrong way to feel about a particular situation. Now, I really want to emphasize it's an opinion because that's just what you believe. And although you may be certain, everyone doesn't agree with your opinion. They don't agree with what you believe is right or wrong. All right? So when you have these rules of how the world should work, how you should think, how you should feel, how you should act during a certain situation, what we're going to do throughout this program is I want you to question, are they serving you? Are they serving you to the level that you really want to go in your life? And here's the other thing, are the people around you, I'm going to talk about it throughout this time together, that the people in your life, how influential, persuasive, how you can get people to willingly, joyfully, and enthusiastically help you get what you want is a key to your MANformation. It's a key to you developing leadership skills. It's a key to having you get more options in life. So the question would be, are the people you surround yourself, the people you count on, what are their rules? It's important that you know that. So that's rules. Nothing more than opinion. It's just opinion you believe to be true. Let's talk about beliefs. Beliefs are what you believe to be true under any situation. Your beliefs are really just your opinions. All right? They're just like your rules. They're just your opinions, but you treat them as if they were 100% true. In other words, beliefs are nothing more than very strong opinions. They are beliefs to you. You believe this is the way the world works, the way people should work, and how you should feel. You're very strong. You're 100% certain. What you believe to be true, your beliefs, is indeed true. You will act, you'll walk, you'll talk, you'll think, you'll do things, you won't do things based on your beliefs. And again, the purpose of explaining rules and beliefs, values and standards, are I want you to think about those. Think about them in a different way than you've been thinking in the past and entertain the ideas. Let them marinate to see if just a shifting of ideas can take your life to the next level where you want to go. If you've done your homework, if you've thought about it, if you've really self-examined and assessed and monitored your life, and you reject the ideas, and you say, you know what, Skip? The way I'm doing it is just great. It is leading me to where I want to go. I'm going to stay tight in my beliefs. Well, good for you. That's awesome. I want you to entertain. I want you to let these ideas marinate because I want you to have the life that you really want. And it may take a different way of thinking. And I'm here to just poke, to prod, to nudge, to coach you, to be your friend, to jog your current way of thinking to see if maybe there's a different way to think about a situation and help you get what you want. Now, values are basically the priority or importance that you put on certain things in your life. You usually value one aspect of life more than other aspects of life. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't value different things. It's just that there's a certain order of priority. There's a hierarchy of the things that you value more than others. All right, so that might be your physical fitness, may be very important to you. Also, making money, having more options in life is very important to you. How about your family? It's another value, family time. is very important to you. So we have your health and fitness, we have your ability to make money and have more options for yourself, and you have your family. All right? 3 different values. Those 3 things may be very important to you. You may value them. Now, how you value them, the hierarchy, the order that you put them will change your life massively. All right? You put your family first, and I'm not telling you how to think, because you already know that people have different values in life. You put your family first, money second, health and fitness first. It's going to be a lot different person on the other end than maybe how I was when I was a 6-time national champion bodybuilder, leading the world of bodybuilders to a new level of physical, mental, emotional growth and an appreciation for bodybuilding and building muscle, losing body fat, and being intense warriors in the gym. My values, how I put them, might be totally different. I might put health and fitness first, money second, family third. We all value the same things, but what comes out the other end, what we produce, the quality of life that we produce, will be massively different depending on our values. All right, so that's basically what values are. Now, standards are close in meaning to rules, beliefs, and values. The only difference is that your standards are more concrete benchmarks than the subjective ones that are based on your feelings. Now, benchmarks means that you formed an opinion about how much money you have to have in your bank account, how much body fat you should carry, what your education level should be, how many friends you should have, should you be married or single, and how close and connected should your relationship be. Whether you realize it or not, you have standards for all different areas of your life. And those are things that we need to question to make sure that we're headed in the direction that we want to go. So that's a brief explanation of your rules, beliefs, values, and standards. And as you can see, they come up in everything that we're going to talk about in this program. So what about you? What are your rules, beliefs, values, and standards? How are your rules, beliefs, values, and standards helping you get what you want in your life? How are your rules, values, beliefs, and standards preventing you from getting what you want in your life? All right, those are questions that you're going to have to ask throughout this entire thought-provoking time that we have together. All right, so how are your rules, values, beliefs, and standards helping you get everything you want in life? And how are your rules, values, beliefs, and standards preventing you from getting what you want in your life? Many people don't question these things, gentlemen. They go on long living life with a certain way of thinking that they may have developed when they were 6 years old, like we talked about before. And they keep those same rules, values, beliefs, and standards that they learned when they were an immature, uneducated, definitely naive little boy in so many different areas of life, and they keep that forever. You're here for a reason. You're here to take your life to the next level. I'm here to help you do that. It's time to question your rules, values, beliefs, and standards and see how they're helping you get what you want or they're preventing you from getting what you want. Now, if we go through this material and I pose a lot of questions or I tell you stories and you find out, wow, something's really messed up. These rules I have are really screwing me up. I have a lot of unnecessary rules or rules that aren't necessarily true. Boy, I got to do something. Well, you know what? You're not alone. Everyone who's listening to this program can make an adjustment in their rules, values, and beliefs. And let me tell you, I'm sitting up here telling you this information. I'm going to be totally honest that my rules, my values, beliefs, and standards have had to be reconsidered and adjusted so many times throughout my life to get me closer and closer to what I want. So if you find through this program that you're being challenged, that's a good thing because you want to take your life to the next level. You want to have the thinking ability to expand upon your way of thinking past that 6-year-old little boy and help get you what you want. Have the thinking capacity to help you get what you want. My purpose is to stimulate thought, not give you directives. All right? By directives, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do. If I did that, the first thing you do, it would be hit or miss, meaning that if you're on board and we've built a rapport, you trust me, you believe in me, and you just accepted the directive I give you, then, well, that's great. Well, the chances are that your rules, values, and beliefs have you in a different direction, has a different thought process, and it has you going in a certain direction in your life. If I give you a directive that you don't agree with, or you don't get all the meaning behind it, or your brain doesn't process what I'm saying the way that I want to say it, then you're going to throw it away. It's going to turn into black or white. There are different shades of color in this world, gentlemen, and that is my job, to stimulate thought to help you get what you want. I don't want to challenge you. I don't want to tell you what to do. I want to help you think in a manner that will help you get what you want. You will hear me many times throughout this seminar say, now from my experience, this is what I've experienced. This is what I believe, or this is what I've seen. And I'll preface that by saying, from my experience. All right? Because I'm just like you. I have my rules, values, beliefs, and standards. There's so many that we developed throughout our lives. We can't question every one of them. And I might say something to you that is from my perspective. It is my belief. All right? I may be certain about it. I may tell you that this is what you need to do and this is the way you need to think. And I firmly believe it. I'm giving you my passionate effort to help you get what you want. All right? You need to question everything that I say. You need to measure what I say, kind of evaluate my perspective, just like everyone who gives you any information that's meant to help you. Everyone has their bias. Everyone has their own perspective based on the things in their life. Now, if you're listening to me right now, there's a chance that we have already created a connection for many commonalities, things that we have in common that you've picked up on. I speak your language, so to speak. So we may be there, and so you may be able to identify with a lot of things that I say. Just remember, it is from my experience. I'll be careful to say that. Some things will slip by. My view of the world, everything should be challenged. You should think about everything. And even if you throw it away, you should challenge it. Even if you accept it, you should challenge it and think for yourself. I just had an experience recently in the gym where I got into a lengthy discussion with a gentleman. He was talking about some challenges that he had in life, and I was telling him about some experiences that I have, doing my best to help him out. And this gentleman was about 35 years old, and he was talking about, well, you know, part of the thing at our age in this town is the challenge of the materialism. Buying things to make ourselves feel good. Keeping up with the Joneses is something people who are our age really have a problem with. That short-term gratification that we're faced with is causing a lot of problems, causing addictions and escapes for all of us. And I stopped him and I said, now that's from your experience, because that experience that he described, nothing to do with me, not my experience at all. And I told him, I said, you know, that's not necessarily true. That is your experience, because I can tell you the people, and I live near the Cal Berkeley part of the world, and that's a community that they're intellectuals. They want to make a difference in the world. Protesters, they're marchers, okay? That materialistic world, that keeping up with the Joneses, that he was so certain about, is not the experience of everyone. Now, that may seem obvious to you. I just want to bring up that story because I want you to think about that as you're trying to make sense of the world. Is it really true? Or is that a perspective that you've developed over the years? What I present during this program may challenge your current way of thinking, and that's a good thing. Don't take offense. Don't barricade yourself to keep on doing the things that you've always been doing. Don't be so quick to judge. And then if you do so, you're not going to get the most out of this program. Of course, you think the way you do because it works for you at some level, and you have decided that's the best approach for you. When I start talking about things like being assertive or being aggressive or taking what's yours in this life, I already know many of you, the same people who saw this program and said, look, I need to be more assertive, more aggressive. I need to start going for what I want in life. I need to lead my own life. I need to learn how to lead others. How my life is going right now sucks. And I got to find the skill set and the mindset to become more of an alpha male, more of a leader. The very same people who are listening to this information for those reasons will be the first people to barricade themselves when something really challenges you. All right, so think about that. Of course, you're going to think a lot of things that I say are stupid or wrong. All right, I know that. Or you would be living that way already. And you probably wouldn't be here right now listening to this information. Don't barricade yourself. Don't hold on tightly to your ideas. I want you to think about what I'm saying. Also, when I tell stories, I give metaphors and analogies. Don't make them hit or miss. Don't make them black or white. Don't make them right or wrong. Think about the meaning. Let it marinate again. You're going to be doing yourself a disservice if you hear a story and say, oh, that doesn't apply to me. Or that's not me. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know people like that. And maybe the couple of stories I said at the beginning of our session. Don't block them out. Don't be quick to decide how they apply to you. Because even if they don't apply to you right now, which may or may not be true, they may apply to you later. Get your money's worth. Get your time. Make it worth your time to absorb all this information. Dr. Phil has a great quote for those of you who might grab onto this stuff in your current way of thinking and say, I'd be a jerk if I did that. He's wrong. That's not the way to act. My rules say, no way, I will never act like that. My question would be, how's that working for you? All right, that's a Dr. Phil quote. If you want change, at least entertain these ideas, thought-provoking concepts. Even winners, the guys that you look at and say, wow, I want a life like him, winners look for that edge, that alpha edge. And that's what I'm here to give you. We all need a second brain. We all need to take our experiences and how we evaluate a situation in life, whether it's going on in our own life or a way to proceed. It's always good to have a trusted, someone you respect, someone to look at the same situation and present different ideas. Whether or not you go with those different ideas is another thing, but it's always nice to get that second brain to help you objectively look at your situation, and that's what I'm here to do. Many of us were raised to be good little boys, and what I mean by that is our parents want us to be well-behaved. They want us to do what we tell them when they tell us to do it. And we as children, we look for that approval. We want that appreciation from our parents. I'll tell you, if we don't get it, many times children will do whatever they can to get recognition by doing the wrong things, but most of the time we want to be good little boys. Your parents, when they sent you off to school, when they told you to play with your friends, when you went over your friend's parents' house, they wanted you to do everything that was told because they wanted you to fit in when you were a little boy. They taught you how to fit in. They didn't tell you how to be some rebel, some guy who sticks out above the pack, because they didn't want any pain for you. All right? When you excel at anything, when you disconnect yourself by becoming amazing at something or different in any way, whether you're right or wrong to the masses, and we'll talk about is there such a thing as being right or wrong to the masses, you're not going to fit in anymore. And kids can be cruel. Your parents prepared you for life by showing you how to fit in, and what they didn't show you, you learned for yourself how fitting in had their advantages. There is a need for conformity in society. There is a distraction with individuality. You don't want, if you have an army and you're marching down the street, you don't want everybody thinking about the best way to do it. Everybody just fall in line. And that's how roads work. We go on green lights. We stop on red lights. We park here. We don't park here. Conformity is massively helpful in society, and our parents teach us that as a little boy, to conform with society. That individuality is not usually welcomed. Well, you are no longer a little boy, and it's time for you to step up and lead. It's time for you to have the courage to step out of the pack. You don't want to be average. Nobody wants to be average. We all have a need, a human need to be special, unique, and different. And thinking like the majority of people think, looking for the majority of people's approval, depending on it, valuing ourselves based on the approval of others, fitting in the middle of the road, in the middle of the pack, is what's going to prevent you from having the life that you really want. It's time to grow past that stage of that little boy who was told to conform, who was told to follow all the quote-unquote rules, all right? And those things maybe need to be tested, all right? It's time to lead your own life, to start going for what you really want. Start making decisions based on you and not other people. I'm going to bring up so many scenarios to bring that up. It's time to lead your own life. And when you do, you'll find that the riches in life, all the different options that you really want, are going to happen when you learn how to lead other people. From my experiences, I found out there is a small percentage of men in this world who have figured out about leadership, everything I'm going to tell you about. Where all the 90% to some level of the men in this world have not figured out. They do not know about leadership. And they follow what is told. And they are actually augmenting, bolstering, adding a higher quality of life to those 10% of men who know how to lead, who know how to get what they want, and how to help the other 90% get them to help them get what they want. And that's what I want to open up some ideas so you can become part of the 10%. You can break out of that conformity mode that you've been taught and start leading your life and start leading others. You know what? They know that it's not so much what you say, but how you say it. They know that body language and certainty and confidence is highly influential to get other people to help you, to willingly, joyfully, and enthusiastically help you get what you want. That's what a leader is. He's firm in his ideas. A leader knows what he wants. He will find a way to get there. He may not be some genius who knows how to get there. Okay, but he's so determined he'll find a way, and he'll incorporate the help of other people through being influential and persuasive. That's what a leader is. There's a need for leaders in this world. You need to lead to get what you want in this world. Everyone is looking for a leader. That 90% is looking for someone to tell them what to do. They want to put their thinking on autopilot. They may not believe that if you were to challenge them on that idea, they would disagree. The proof is in the pudding, so to speak, on how they live their lives. There is a need for leaders in this world, and I want you to be that leader, to help other people, more importantly, to help yourself, get you those options in life. INYNTWW. If not you now, then who when? Someone has to lead. Someone has to pick up that check amongst your friends and figure out who pays what. Someone's going to have to decide where to eat. Someone's going to have to go first when you're going through the door with a group of people. If not you now, then who when? Why are you going to let somebody else lead? It's time to step up and become a leader. Now remember something too. With everything that I say, you don't have to go from one extreme to the other. Meaning that, everything doesn't have to be so black or white. You don't have to be a jerk or a nice guy. You don't have to be a pleaser or someone who's an arrogant, cocky guy. You don't swing. When I challenge your beliefs, when I say something that I might suggest that you may want to reconsider that, Don't go in your mind, well, I don't want to be a jerk. Where did I say that you had to be a jerk? Nowhere. Don't make it one extreme. All right? Don't go from, hey, well, maybe I'm a pleaser, but I don't want to be a jerk. I want you to go into the middle and help you get what you want, where you don't have to be a pleaser anymore, but you don't have to be a jerk. Don't do that in your mind. All right? That's a tendency when our ideas are challenged to go from one extreme to the other, meaning that, oh, well, the only option is to be the direct opposite. When it comes to having the life that you really want, everything is not always black and white. I want you to remember that. You can have both. You can get what you want and have other people help you. You can make other people happy and get what you want. You can have both in life as long as you believe that option is available to you. And you make it your goal to have both. That's your objective. If you want both, you will find a way to have both, but it has to be your objective right from the start. It may take time. It may take patience and effort to have both. But isn't that just like everything in life that's worth having? If you want to have the body that you really want, are you going to just go to the gym and for a week and have that body? Or it's going to take time, patience, and effort to have that body that you want. And you're going to have to go through the ups and downs and all arounds to help you get what you want. It may take time and patience and effort to have both, just like anything in life, but we're going to make it our goal to win-win, not just let other people win. That's not our objective. And at the same time, we don't want to screw other people just so that we win. We want both. You must strive to appreciate the concept of time, meaning that everything that you want has time. The concept of time, you making that work for you, means that things that you do, that the next 3 months are going to come and go whether you do something or not. So how about we do a little bit every single day in the next 3 months to get us closer to our goal of what we want to really be like. Make that concept of time work for you. Now, one thing throughout this program, I will pound the fundamentals over and over and over again. Success in life comes to mastering the fundamentals. Usually, you can master about anything you want in life. And when you do, usually most things come to about 10 key principles. So instead of going deeper and deeper with, things on a scale from 1 to 10 that are very important, like a 10 on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm not going to just add certain trivial things that are a 1 and a 2 just to be unique, different, sexy, all right, and controversial. I'm going to pound the basics over and over again. I'm going to say things over and over again in different ways to pound them in. Those 10 key fundamentals can help you master anything in life. There's always a higher level of understanding and execution to anything you want to master in your life. If that's leadership skills, if that's being more of an alpha male, understanding and executing those fundamentals will take you to one level. Getting better and better at executing and understanding those same fundamentals can take you to another level and another level and another level. You don't need new and exciting strategies all the time. You need to become better at what you understand and what you execute. So remember that. I want you to resist the desire to be distracted with new and shiny angles that will help you get to success. See that in the bodybuilding and training world all the time. Someone needs to get to the gym. They need to get their schedule. They need to eat their meals. But they've learned that. They think they got that down. They're looking for something new and different, and so they want to know about creatine cycling. And I can tell, I get emails all the time. And although that might be something interesting, I'll tell you what, is that I can tell by their email that they're not getting to the gym when they should. They're not putting the effort in. They're not eating their meals. They don't have all the fundamentals that will get them what they want. They don't have the fundamentals down. Why do I know that? Because the questions that are asked are so trivial. If you did everything else, you would just try one way or another. You wouldn't be totally frustrated because you don't know the answer to the right way to load your creatine. You wouldn't care because you had all the fundamentals down. You would just try it. You wouldn't be desperately emailing someone out on the internet on how to get that answer. I'm going to pound the fundamentals. The fundamentals will not only bring you immediate success, it will bring you long-term success. Those fundamentals will take you to higher and higher levels. So let's talk about why nice guys finish last. And I do this for a reason, because you know something isn't working for you right now. You may not know what it is. And again, I'm here to stimulate thought. And you've heard that experience. Nice guys finish last. But doesn't that go so against the grain? Isn't that so different than what your mommy taught you? Your mommy and daddy taught you to be a nice guy. Oh, wow. That Joe, he's really a nice guy. Don't you get praise for being a nice guy? Well, it all comes down to what your definition of being nice is. How did that definition of being nice and in what situations was that definition developed? Is the 6-year-old boy in you still deciding what's nice and what's not nice? Something for you to consider, and I want to talk about that. How do you define the following words? I want you to just jot down a few key words that describe these words. Pushy, cocky, selfish. What are the words that come to mind? Maybe put a plus if you see that as all positive, a minus if it's really negative, and maybe a circle if it's somewhere in between. So pushy, would that be a positive thing? Would that be a neutral thing, a 0? Or that would be a minus, something negative. Cocky, selfish, self-absorbed, arrogant, conceited, workaholic, obsessed, fair, humble, sensitive, conflict, confrontation. I'm here to tell you, gentlemen, how you perceive those words, how you define them in your mind is dictating your life in a lot of areas. When it comes to being an alpha male, when it comes to being a leader, how you define those key words is having an impact. Now, I want to talk about this word, alpha male. For our purposes here in this MANformation program, alpha male means nothing but a leader. The first letter of the Greek alphabet, the leader. Leadership skills, leadership qualities, those qualities that I will talk about throughout this program, what a leader does. Leader, alpha male, they're the same. Again, I asked you what words like fair, humble, sensitive, confrontation, what they mean to you. There are different connotations to the word alpha male. Some men see that as a powerful leader, and that's the way I want you to think about it. Some people see it as some arrogant jerk. Some people see it as a ladies' man, the alpha male. He gets all the ladies. All right, words have no meaning. People have meaning. Everybody doesn't agree on what any word means, and alpha male is one. So for the purposes of our teleseminar, alpha male means leader. So throw away any other preconceived notions or previous definitions that you have of that word. Alpha male is a leader. Now, it's important to realize that there is no path that you decide to take in your life. It's all good or all bad. Now, you may decide that, hey, this is the way I'm going to go in my life. This is the way that I want to lead. And it may work out for you very well. You might see it as a good thing. But you need to be honest with yourself. There is a downside to everything if you choose to perceive it that way. And I don't think there's too many decisions that you can make that are all good or all bad, no matter how much you want to convince yourself. I'll take something when I talked about my dinner with my friend. I feel very good in a lot of ways looking out for my buddy and giving him the great seat and giving him that certificate. But there's a part of me thinking, wait a second, where else does this show up in my life? Now, from my perspective, do I watch out for myself enough? Where else is that showing up in my life? Why is it so important for me to do nice things for him? What's going on? Go deeper. All right? How would I have felt if I had taken it for myself? Or the best seat for myself? Would I have been not a nice guy? Would I have cared if I was a nice guy or not? All right? It's easy to see that there's benefits and there's setbacks, potentially, depending on how I perceive the situation. Again, there's no situation in life that's all good or all bad. Is it working to the life that you really want? And that's what I'm doing. I'm stimulating thought. It's important to realize that no decision that you make, I don't care how logical we think we are, how we line up our facts and our data before we make decisions, most of the decisions that we make are based on emotion. We are emotional beings. We are led by emotion, and then what do? We look for supporting logic to back up what was really our emotion. So if someone were to challenge me and say, Skip, you're a patsy, where does that show up in your life? You know what? That guy isn't even appreciating what you did for him because he never asked to sit there. And he never asked for the gift certificate. So you did those good things at your expense, and you may not be getting credit for it. Does he have a point? Oh, well, I might dig in deep. And hey, because I'm feeling challenged. And what I will do, I will support it with logic. Well, I know my friend, and he's a type of guy, and it will come back because it has in the past, blah, 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 blah. Spitting out the logic to support what it was an emotional decision to defend my point of view. So think about that as I challenge you, as I raise these questions, that your logic, you will find logic to support and stay where you are. You'll find logic to support me and say, you know what, that Skip guy, he is on the ball. He has really broken down the distinctions. I'm going to take these and apply them to my life, and it's going to the next level. Thank you, Skip. Whichever way, it's an emotional decision. Either the emotion is you want to stay tight to where you are and be that nice guy the way you defined it, or the emotion might be the thought of having a higher quality of life and everything that I really want. That emotion pulls you to find the logic to support what I say. So just remember that. No matter how logical we think we are, and how much logic we think we use to make decisions, most of our decisions are based on emotions. And I want you to think about situations where that's true for you. And when you're put in corners, you're being challenged, you have confrontations, you have conflict, and you come up with quick decisions. Are those based on emotions? Or are they based on logic? It doesn't really matter whether it's emotion or logic, because your perception becomes your reality. What you believe to be true in any situation is true for you. You will walk, you will talk, you will act, you will make decisions accordingly. Your perception is your reality. If you want to stay tight with everything that you're thinking, that's your reality, and you will act, walk, talk, think, take action as if it's reality. All right, so it really doesn't matter if it's logic or emotion. Your perception becomes your reality. Your perception, if you haven't already noticed in life, isn't always reality, and sometimes you find that out later. So I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to talk about some things, what quote-unquote nice guys do. Now, I put that in quotation marks because a nice guy is up to your definition, your experiences, what you've been told by those you respect, those things that you've rejected by people you don't respect, the pain, the frustration, the overwhelm. Those reasons may have gone against this nice guy. You've come up with your own definition. So when I say nice guy, that's up to your interpretation, so keep that in mind. And nice guys do not play themselves or their accomplishments up to other people. Meaning nice guys have been taught that you need to put a lid on this. You can't stick out. You can't make other people feel bad. You can't talk about your accomplishments. You'll make other people feel bad. All right? Where is that serving you? You want people to love, respect, admire, follow you? Well, the level of respect that you earn from a person will determine how influential and how persuasive you are. How's it going to happen if you're convinced that a nice guy plays himself down? How are they going to know how knowledgeable you are? How much of a strong leader you are? How much you can help the quality of their lives? Because if you can help the quality of their lives and help them take their life to the next level, boy, they sure would be willing to help you take the quality of your life to the next level. And that's true in relationships, friendships, business. If you're constantly playing yourself down in your accomplishments because you've been told that's what a nice guy does, you're selling yourself short. You're selling yourself short, gentlemen. Now, again, remember what I said? Don't go to extreme. That doesn't mean I'm saying, well, Skip, are you telling me I need to be cocky and I need to play up all my accomplishments and be one of those arrogant, cocky jerks? Did I say that? Again, resist the temptation to go to the extreme. All right. What I'm saying is that if you want people to respect you, to appreciate what you've done, to influence them, persuade you, they're going to have to know what a great person you are, how much value you can give them in their lives. And how are they going to know that? They're going to find it on the internet. One of your friends are going to tell you this. I think we should make this a rule. If someone comes to you after knowing you for 3 months or 6 months or a year and they say, oh my God, you did that? Wow, how impressive. Why didn't you tell me that? And if you're the nice guy saying, oh, gee, shucks, yeah, that is me, I don't want you to think that way anymore. They should know it, all right? Find a way for them to learn more about you. Find a way to become a leader, to become more persuasive, become more influential. If that's your definition of a nice guy, you are selling yourself so short. And when people sell you short, if you don't know why you can't influence and persuade people, why people aren't following your lead, why they don't listen to you, you're playing yourself down. And guess what? They're buying into how you're selling yourself, or more appropriately, how poorly you're selling yourself. Now, how do you do that? Get creative, gentlemen. Get creative. There's a way to do it. And you won't find a way until you make that your objective. I want you to challenge the belief that being a nice guy means you got to play yourself, who you are, what you're all about, and your accomplishments down to other people. That is wrong, quote unquote, wrong, to play yourself up to other people. Nice guys will not talk about any accomplishments until after it has been achieved, if ever, and not 1 second before. Nice guys don't talk about their accomplishments until it's black and white, it's done. You don't want to exaggerate yourself. You don't want to play yourself up. You don't want to mislead or lie to people about what you have and haven't done. All right, again, resist going to the extreme. All right, here's an expression, F-I-U-Y-F-M. F-I-U-Y-F-M-I. Fake it until you friggin' make it. And that's what a leader does. A leader in his mind, an alpha male in his mind, believes in himself so much. He plays out the scenario so much in his mind that when it finally is accomplished, it's no big deal. He's replayed it millions of times in his mind, and actually that skill, that ability to present himself, that his accomplishments have already been accomplished, is what makes them happen. If you're being a nice guy and keeping everything under wraps, or not be willing to talk as if what you are going to do has already happened, you are missing out a secret that leaders and alpha males do all the time. All right? I remember there was a write-up one time I won a national championship, and the writer said that, wow, when Skip won the overall title, he showed no emotion. Well, the reason why I didn't show any emotion is I needed to work as hard to get in that type of condition, to withstand all the sacrifice, all the pain, all of the sacrifice of the quality of my life, the hunger to push the heavy weights. I had to believe that it was a done deal a long time before it happened. I played it in my mind so many times that it has already happened. When I win this, all right, it was played up so many times to my friends, my family, and my own mind that when it happened, it was already a foregone conclusion. Fake it until you friggin' make it, gentlemen. Learn that skill of a leader. People love that confidence. And that's a belief that you need to adopt. They're drawn to leaders. The world is looking for leaders, gentlemen. If it's your belief to not talk about any accomplishment until after it has been achieved, if ever, and not 1 second beforehand, you're doing yourself a disservice, and the chances are it actually happening are going to be greatly diminished. Use the power of an alpha male. Use the power of a leader and make that work for you. Nice guys feel that it's wrong, quote unquote. I use that expression wrong because, again, nothing's necessarily right or wrong. But nice guys feel that it's wrong to eliminate losers from their lives. All right? Now, there's so many different rules that I want to talk about when it comes to other people. So we're going to come back to this. All right? But I just want to talk about that is that people who feel they need to please or get along with people, or they have to have people in their life that aren't serving them, they're not helping them, they're distracting them, they're taking away from the quality of their life, that there's something wrong to cut out these people. It's not nice, I guess I should say. They might even bring in certain religious beliefs. And at the same time, is that taking away from the quality of your life? Is it distracting? All right? I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not giving you directives. I am challenging the way you think to see if it serves you. I'll spin it around, and maybe you can turn this into something that helps you and not takes away from you. Nice guys feel that it's wrong to tell other people about their aspirations and their lofty goals in life. Like they might come across as arrogant or cocky or conceited or highly assumptive. Let me just tell you something. A great leadership skill to have. A great alpha male skill to have. A skill to make you influential and persuasive is to be highly assumptive. All right? You need to tell people about your aspirations and your lofty goals. It'll do two things. It'll make you more influential and persuasive. People look for winners. They look for guidance. They look for confident, happy people that are going places. All right? And here's the other thing about that is that it drives you. Once you put yourself out there, we will do more usually to help other people than we will ourselves. We sometimes will be more accountable to other people than we are to ourselves. Putting it out there, causing that self-imposed pressure by having other people know about our aspirations and dreams is a great tool that leaders use, that alpha males use all the time. Don't hold back. Don't think nice guys keep that under wraps. All right? Alpha males, leaders, tell people about their aspirations and lofty goals. So one thing I guess I should say about all this is you think about all these things, cocky, arrogant, however you describe certain words. When I talked about that one extreme to another, think about it. When you're growing up and you had that one kid, maybe he came from a bad home, maybe his dad was some wild child or something like that. This guy thought outside the box. He went against the grain. He marched to the beat of his own drummer. And people talked about him. Maybe they talked about him to you. I don't know, go back into the 5th grade. Maybe you were part of the group who was talking about him. All right? There's a saying that says, don't judge other people or you're going to be judged. And that doesn't mean if you talk poorly about other people are going to talk poorly about you. What the real meaning to that is, and that's biblical. I'm not a real Bible guy, so I didn't get the quote exactly right. But the purpose is, that is about when you start judging other people. He's right, he's wrong, he's cocky, he's arrogant. What happens is you start judging yourself that way. You start looking at yourself too critically. Because you assume that if you're looking at behavior that way, then everybody else must be too. That's not necessarily true. So think about that. When you judge other people, you're judging yourself and you're putting yourself in a box. So if you're one of those people that, oh, wow, look at that guy. He's so cocky. He's so arrogant. Think about it for a minute, gentlemen, because we're going to come back to this many times. Tell me the truth. How many of those guys were there really back in the 5th grade? One, maybe, in the whole school. Probably all through elementary school when you developed a lot of these ideas. There was one guy like that. But it had an effect because everybody talked poorly about him, okay? That guy's probably a winner now. Maybe he's a loser. I mean, who cares? All right? But the point is, the masses, that 90%, all went back in their caves and, oh, we're not going to act like that my whole life. I'm not going to act like that. I'm not going to stick out. I'm not going to be arrogant or cocky because people are going to talk about me like my friends talked about him or I talked about him. Think about that. Are you developing rules, values, and beliefs about how you should act, what cocky is, what arrogant is? So much you've gone to the extreme, selling yourself short, thinking that's what a nice guy does because of that one kid in the 5th grade. I want you to think about that because it isn't all this pervasive thing. There aren't all these cocky, arrogant guys walking around. 1 out of 100, maybe. All right? That's making such a profound effect on your behavior. 1 out of 100 guys. Look, if you haven't noticed it, most people, myself included, we play ourselves way too short in life. There is so much more our talent, our creativity, our charismatic abilities, our work ethic. We should have so much more in life. But we play ourselves down. We're the farthest thing from cocky and arrogant. Are you basing the way you act based on that 1 out of 100 guys? Has that little boy and you saw that behavior and saw how he is lambasted by all the other kids? Is that crept up into you going to that other extreme and playing yourself so down? You not being a good salesperson of yourself and wondering why people aren't buying into your frame? Think about that. Nice guys do not feel it's right to focus on, assess, and take continual inventory of their strengths. Oh, that's being arrogant. Come on, I'm being cocky. You know, why do I think about that? No, I can really focus on all my negative things. I have no problems thinking about all my negative things and commiserating and letting them get in the way, and I need my friends to tell me about my strength. Is that what a nice guy does? That's what your definition of a nice guy is? You need to take inventory of your strengths. You know, look, if you're not your biggest fan, who else is? You dependent on your wife, your girlfriend, your buddy to pump you up? You need to be your biggest cheerleader. And how do you do that? You constantly monitor, assess, take inventory of your strengths. If you believe a nice guy doesn't do that, you've got a definition of a nice guy that you need to probably reconsider. Nice guys use middle of the road, neutral words when describing themselves and their accomplishments. Right? They say, oh, well, I'm okay. Yeah, I do my best. You know? Look, how does that work in your mind when internally you're driving to be the best? You want more out of life. You want more options. You want the best of this. You want the best of that. You expect so much from yourself, but your words to the world are, oh, I'm okay, I guess. Well, you know, hey, I do my best. Oh, that was nothing. You're not congruent, all right? Don't use that middle of the road. Hey, I am awesome. How you doing? I'm awesome. You know what? And when you say that you're awesome, it isn't like, hey, I'm feeling awesome. Hey, practice. You can sneak this in and say, I'm awesome. See, they think you're saying you're feeling awesome, but you're looking them right in the face and you're saying, I'm awesome. What if you said that to other people? You looked them right in the eye, kind of your own little secret language, and said, hey, I'm awesome. I'm awesome. I'm awesome. Man, it's infectious. People love it. And you're pumping yourself up. That's good self-talk. It's putting it out there. You need more of that in your life, gentlemen, not less of them. You know, I have got a question for you. We talk about rules, values, beliefs, what your definition of things are. I want to ask you a question. Are salespeople, are they bad? Are they good? Are they pushy? Are they arrogant? What's a salesperson to you? All right? Think about that for a second. And then let me tell you this. You are a salesperson. You are always selling yourself. You are always selling your ideas. You, gentlemen, are all salespeople. The question is, are you an effective salesperson? Are you a good salesperson? All right? Learn the skills of a salesman. Learn influence and persuasion skills. Learn influence in persuasion skills. You are always selling yourself. You need to get people to buy into your frame after you've established it. You need to get people to willingly, joyfully, and enthusiastically help you get what you want. And how do you do that? Well, all the things you're going to learn throughout our time together, but also it's through that influence and persuasion skills that you're going to develop. You're always selling yourself. You are a salesperson. So if that nice guy in you thinks that salespeople are pushy, he's arrogant, well, that could be affecting the quality of your salesmanship and how you sell yourself. Nice guys do not feel comfortable taking compliments from others. They shuck it off. They kind of deflect it. Oh, golly, it was nothing. Or, well, everyone gets lucky after a while. It's not congruent. You've worked your butt off to develop the skills or put yourself in a position. Someone is complimenting you on that. Does a nice guy, if he were to say he acted like that type of behavior, that type of productivity is what you could expect from me all the time, if he conveyed that to the other person, that would be a bad thing? Nice guys don't do that. Look, simple thank you. Anytime you get a compliment, you look them right in the eye and you give them a sincere thank you. Thank you for recognizing, because that is who I am and that's what I'm all about. The way you say thank you, your voice quality should be like, of course, I am so glad that you appreciate it. Hey, that's what you can expect from me, because that is the type of person that I am. You don't act all surprised, like, well, no. You convey the message that type of behavior, what you're being thanked, what you're being complimented on, is just who you are and where you live. And if you need to practice that tonality, that message in that thank you, then you practice it. It is very important. That's what leaders do. That's what alpha males do. And get rid of that belief that a nice guy cannot feel comfortable taking compliments from others. Nice guys feel that they should be thankful for what they have. And so much so, they almost feel bad for wanting more. And usually it works on a couple of different levels. Is that, there's this internal drive to want more. They want more. But, then there's that push-pull type thing is, I should be thankful for what I have. It's wrong of me to want more. Well, where did that come from? Did that come from all the mediocre people, all the other followers? Did that idea, that concept of a nice guy, did it slip in? Think about that. It's okay to want more. You may need to question is, how do you go about getting more? All right? Nice guys believe that they will let other people down, and including themselves, if they set ambitious goals and deadlines and don't meet them. So nice guys believe that they will let other people down and themselves if they set ambitious, lofty goals and deadlines and don't meet them. I'll tell you what, if you're not setting ambitious goals, if you're not constantly stretching yourself, you're not growing. You're not creating that sense of urgency, that angst, that powerful force that gets you to use all your resources, your time, your intelligence, your influence and persuasion skills to get other people to help you, your creativity, your work ethic. All those resources are not going to be used to their fullest until you set ambitious goals and until you set deadlines. Now, the thing about that is that, well, what if you fail? Are you letting yourself down? Are you letting other people down? Gentlemen, you're letting other people down. You're letting yourself down when you are not putting yourself in a situation to use all those creative resources. Use the power of an alpha male. Use the power of a leader Constantly set those deadlines, set those ambitious goals. People aren't going to remember if you didn't reach them or if they were late in coming. They're not going to remember. What they're going to remember is that certainty and confidence. Now, remember I talked about how that 10% has figured out what the 90% hasn't when it comes to leading. Now, there are good leaders in this world and there are bad leaders. Okay, the good leaders are obvious. The bad leaders are con men, right? Those cult leaders, okay? Regardless, those effective leaders, whether they're a force for good or a force for bad, what they've learned is, boy, I tell you something. If you can be congruent with your body language and your mind and your focus, it is very influential. It is very convincing. People want to be around you. They don't have the courage to say something in advance. They don't have the courage to say thank you and compliment. They don't have the courage to break out of the middle. And there's that deep down respect for that 10% who are willing to be different. Whether it's good or bad, people are drawn to them. Why do I think that is? Well, I think it's because those 90%, they want to be a leader. They want to step up there and face their fears. They want to break out of the pack. And they have so much respect for that leader, whether he's a good one or a bad one, that he has done something they aren't able to do. Remember that. You want to be a leader. You want to be an alpha male. The world is looking for leaders. If not you now, then who when? This is your time to step up, gentlemen. Nice guys have too much respect for others and not enough for themselves. Now, respect is something that's earned. Now, that good little boy in you was told that he needs to respect other people. Do you need to respect other people, or is it just when they show up? Or is it earned? Part of the qualities and characteristics that we'll talk about throughout the MANformation program is to not be too quick to judge if something's good or bad. Don't be quick to judge. Don't think a nice guy thinks the world is great all the time and everybody should be respected and everybody's qualified and everybody knows what they're talking about. I'm not saying you jump on the negative bandwagon and you assume the worst in people. You want to be neutral. You want to be neutral and evaluate that situation with as much logic as possible. You don't want to be too positive. You don't want to be too negative. All right? You're not that good boy anymore that has to give the world respect before they earn it. All right? Here's the other thing. When you have the good boy who respects other people without them even earning it, and then you're told to play yourself down because that's what a good, humble, nice boy does, that gap that you create is huge. You're overplaying other people. You're underplaying yourself. There's a huge gap that is not reality. And you'll act as if people are better than they are and you're not as good as you are. Because that's what a good boy does. What's going to happen in your relationships, business, friendships, romantics, if everyone you meet, and like we talked about, people are a key to helping you get what you want. If you start off with that good boy attitude, like a nice guy, and overplay everybody else, and you underplay yourself, because that's what good boys do. Now, I don't know how many people have ever put it together like I just did. Now, separate, we know, hey, we should respect everyone. That's just nice, what a nice guy does. I think we've all heard that. And we've all have heard, or we've been influenced that, we need to play ourselves down. Don't act cocky. Don't act arrogant. Being confident makes other people feel uncomfortable, make us stick out. So we've heard those two different concepts, those rules, those beliefs of other people. We've heard those separately. But how many times have you heard if you do both of those, the gigantic gap, an unrealistic gap that you're creating when you deal with other people? Think about that, gentlemen. Nice guys strive to get the approval from other people and believe that they have accomplished something worthwhile in the process. You know what? You should not expect approval from 100% of the people. You shouldn't feel that you need that, and you certainly shouldn't strive to do that, because it's not going to happen. I remember back when I worked as a grocery store manager, and every single year they would pick 5 managers in this selection committee, and they would buy toys from the Orient to pick what toys would be on the Christmas sale, our busiest time of year. And so they'd march out a toy, no matter what it was, like a plush animal, a stuffed toy, whatever it was. And he'd have 5 managers, and we rank them from 1 to 5. 1 being a terrible, I don't want that item, it's not going to sell. And 1 is, oh, that is a great item, that's going to be the hottest seller this year, is a 5, right? So they've got 5 managers. What does the first one say? 5, that's the item. What's the next one say? 1, I don't think that's going to sell. What's the next one say? 5, that's going to sell. What's the next one say? 1, it's not going to sell. So now you have the 5th person, the tiebreaker, right? You picked an automat for that reason. What does he say? 3. What did you accomplish? What did you accomplish? You got that whole focus group, that whole selection committee. You got 5 different people, 5 different opinions. The numbers net out to be nothing. Right in the middle, meaning nothing. You might as well just had one person make a decision. Think about that story as you apply to your life. Think about that when you are striving for the approval of other people and how important that is to you. That topic is going to come up a lot throughout this MANformation program, this alpha leadership skills training, that approval of other people. Now, if you strive as a nice guy for the approval of other people, and if you think you get it, is something you work for, you're being a pleaser. You know, pleasers finish last. You know, it's not nice guys finish last. Pleasers finish last when you're trying to please everybody, because like the selection committee from the toys that I talked about when I was a grocery store manager, you're not going to get the approval of other people. You're always going to fall short. The more you stick your head out there, the more people are going to disapprove. You got to learn how to lead your own life. And if you're so good at leading your own life, other people will be drawn into your reality. You've got to change your frame. You've got to change your belief structure if striving for the approval of other people is something that a nice guy does. All right? When it came to the bodybuilding world, one thing that was very controversial through my entire bodybuilding career was, is he really drug-free? How can he say this if he's drug-free? He's not drug-free. There's no way a guy can look like that drug-free. All right? I made the decision a long time ago in my career that I can't please everybody. I just have to know who I am and what I'm all about. I remember taking a visit to Venice, California, Los Angeles, the home of bodybuilding. And one of the magazine writers came up to me and said, "Skip, nobody believes you're drug-free." You know what? If I wanted, or I felt I needed the approval of everyone, it was never going to happen. All right? I just have to believe who I am. I had to keep on going forward. I'm thinking, geez, if they think I'm on drugs now, 5 years from now, I'm going to improve even more and more and more. So if they think I'm on drugs now, what are they going to think 5 years from now? That's the belief that I had to have. I couldn't think, oh God, I need their approval, or what are they going to think of me? Or I would have never made it to become better 5 years. Here's the distinction I made. Here's the mindset that I came up with, and I hope this is going to be helpful to you if being a nice guy means going for the approval of other people. What I learned is that 100 people, let's take 100 people. If I had 2 people out of those 100 who believed in me, who thought my inspiration, my information was of value, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to concentrate on those 2 people. I'm going to give them my heart, my soul, my knowledge, my passion. I'm going to give those 2 people everything. I'm just going to ignore the 98. I don't need their approval. I got it from 2. They get all my attention and focus. And again, with that story, how does that apply to your life? How can you apply that to your life? How can it help you when you go through this resistance? Because you've made it your goal, your objective as a nice guy, that the approval of other people was so important. Nice guys avoid confrontation and conflict and see that as a positive thing. We're going to talk about this more and more throughout this program. A confrontation, conflict, what is that? That's just a difference in those beliefs, rules, values, and standards with other people. Nothing more. People have different experiences, both positive and negative. different life experiences. They're going to come up with different conclusions on how to handle every situation in life. Conflict and confrontation, therefore, is an unavoidable part of life. If you, as a nice guy, make it your goal to avoid confrontation and conflict, and you see that as a good thing, boy, you're going to come up on the short end of the stick most of the time. Your rules, values, and beliefs are always going to take a back seat to other people's if your job is to avoid them. And you wonder why you can't get people to see your way. You have no practice. You've been avoiding conflict and confrontation for so long. You have no sea legs. You have no battle wounds. You have no experience dealing with conflict and confrontation. So how are you going to get good at it? How are you going to be good at influencing, persuading people to your way of thinking when those differences come up if you have no experience doing it? Because you've adopted the belief of a nice guy that confrontation and conflict is something to be avoided. All right? That's not what alpha males do. That's not what leaders do. And again, resist going to the extreme. Well, does that mean I get in fights and I get in battles over everything? No, I'm not saying that. Again, resist the temptation to defend where you are, if that's your definition of a nice guy, and to go to the extreme. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is confrontation, conflict, is an inevitable part of life. And it's something that's going to come up from time to time. That's just human nature. You shouldn't be the one backing down. You should believe in yourself, and you should work on your influence and persuasion skills so you can get people to at least become neutral. All right? If not, swing them over to your side. You should not be the one backing down in every conflict and confrontation that happens in your life. All right? You should believe in yourself and believe in your ability. You should not adopt the belief that nice guys avoid confrontation and conflict. It's not a good thing always. All right? Nice guys blame themselves when a relationship with another person goes bad, or they take a major part of the responsibility for it going bad. Again, those nice guys who avoid confrontation and conflict, which is a normal part of life, I want you to adopt that belief. And now that you know a little bit more about rules, values, beliefs, and standards, you can see how conflicts are going to happen. If you've done such a great job of avoiding conflict and confrontation, when something does go bad and you do have one, and then you start blaming yourself, oh God, my goal was to avoid conflict and confrontation. Now I'm in one. Now I feel bad. And then you do more to avoid it. And you know what? You need to hold people up to higher standards. You need to really think about it. I'm not saying that if you're wrong that you don't take responsibility, but don't assume just because you're in a conflict or confrontation that you must have done something wrong. You must have been ineffective. You know what? Make people responsible for themselves. Now, a lot of this stuff seems so obvious, I know. Oh, yeah, Skip. That's me. Hey, I know that. Well, I want you to go deeper, like I challenged you to do before, and think about on a real emotional level, is that true? Why are you avoiding conflict? Why are you avoiding confrontation? What does it mean when you do get in conflict? When your best friend is mad at you? All right, does that mean you did something wrong? Okay, and again, don't go to the other extreme to blame other people, but nice guys tend to blame themselves, take a disproportionate share of the fault when that conflict happens. Nice guys see their acquired ability to play both sides of the fence and be politically correct as a strength of theirs. No how, no way. A leader knows who he is. He's confident who he is. A leader also knows that he doesn't have to be right 100% of the time, that no one holds him up to that standard, so he's can take some risk and afford to make mistakes as long as he believes in what he does, and he believes that what he does has a higher purpose. It's a good thing. He believes in what he's doing. All right? Playing the middle of the road, you're disconnecting yourself from other people. You're becoming ineffective with your message. You're as seeming really milquetoast, very neutral, very non-passionate, non-committed. When you get that politically correct, that neutral language in what you do. And then you wonder why you can't sell your points of view. Right? Say what you mean what you say, step up as a leader, step as an alpha male. Get rid of the neutral language. Get rid of being politically correct. You ever notice that even when you try to be politically correct, when you try to be pleasing to other people, when you try to not step on any toes and use that neutral language, geez, at least half the time you still offend other people. You might as well said what you really thought about the matter. Get in the habit of saying what you think. Just make sure that it comes a good place in your heart. And be willing to deal with any conflict. The world is looking for leaders. You learn how to do that. You practice it. You quit avoiding conflict and confrontation. You're going to become very good at it. And 3 months from now, 3 years from now, you'll be able to do this in a way that helps other people. Nice guys offer compromise without even being asked to do so because they think it's fair during conflict and confrontation. Now, this is a strategy that if you think about those really hard-nosed alpha males, if you have a negative connotation to it, it's like you get into an argument, a disagreement, a conflict, a confrontation. Now, nice guys think that, well, I just want to tell you I was a little bit wrong right at the beginning of the conflict, the confrontation. And what does that person do? Maybe you've had this challenge with your girlfriend or a friend. Yeah, you're right. You were so wrong. You gave them that little bit. Now all they're doing is focus on that little inch that you gave. You admitting to a little bit of responsibility without them even earning it, without even pointing it out. And then they jump on it with both feet. And now you're in this big hole. All they're doing is focusing on what you just said. Why is that? Because you're a nice guy. Do you think it's fair to kind of point out your weaknesses during a conflict and confrontation? Look, make them earn it. Make them earn it. Let them point it out. And if you feel it's time to take responsibility for it then, do it then. Alpha males leaders don't point out their weakness during these situations, okay? I'm not saying that they think they're all right. It's just that it's the art of negotiation. It's the art of war. It's the art of conflict and confrontation. Don't think you're being fair as a nice guy by pointing that out without even being asked. Look, if you are wrong, they'll tell you and then you can explain it then. Nice guys admit their responsibility, faults, and shortcomings without being even asked, just to be fair. Again, don't give an inch. Make them earn it. You are assuming that other people play by your rules, that they would really appreciate. Oh, God, that old Joe, we're coming into this. We're mad at each other. We don't agree on something. And he's just laying it all on the table. And boy, because he admitted his fault, I'm going to say, you know what? You're right, knucklehead. I was wrong too. Does that ever happen? Does that ever happen? Your nice guy rules by doing that could not be serving you, especially when you go head-to-head with someone who doesn't have those same rules. Nice guys work really hard to fit into other people's time frames and schedules. They don't respect themselves. They don't respect their own time frames. Okay, they're always bending over backwards to answer an email, answer an instant message, answer a text right away. Call waiting comes in, they got to answer that call. They're so busy trying to please other people and work on other people's time scale because that's what's nice to do. How much respect do you show yourself? How busy and focused and directed are you giving the impression to other people? How much are they respecting your time frames when you're bending over backwards? Is that what a leader does? Do they look at you as a leader? Do they look at you as an alpha leader when you're bending over so much? You're bending over backwards to meet their time frames and their schedules and their emergencies. All right? Is it appreciated when it's done without even asking? Think about that. How much respect do you have for yourself? Shouldn't you be watching out for yourself just as much as you watch out for other people? Nice guys are overly concerned with the process of getting what they want in life. Things got to look good. They got to please other people. It reminds me back when I used to play golf. And, if it's a par 5, I had to do more than just get the ball in the hole in 5 strokes. I had to hit the ball, and it had to look pretty like Tiger Woods, or I wouldn't be happy. That's process driven. I play basketball all the time now, and you got some old guys that score a lot of buckets, and they might shoot a little cockeyed, a weird spin on the ball. Whereas, I'm someone, I did not only have to make it, it's got to have that NBA professional basketball spin on it. That's being really process driven. Think about that golf analogy. Think about that basketball analogy, and think about how you get from point A to point B. Does it have to, are you really consumed in the process? So much so that you never get to your desired result? That's what nice guys do. Alpha males, leaders, just worry about getting the results. They're results driven. They get the job done. Nice guys see criticism from other people as a definite indicator that they are doing something wrong. Again, criticism, it's just difference in rules, values, and beliefs. Different stories going on in people's head that are different than yours. Just because you are being criticized doesn't mean other people are right. If that nice guy mentality, oh my God, if I was nicer, if I wasn't wrong, I wouldn't be getting any criticism. Not true. And hopefully us discussing rules, values, beliefs, and where they come from will help you realize that criticism isn't just something that an alpha male leader just takes on. Nice guys are overly concerned with the process and getting what they want. Nice guys feel that they should not judge the actions and opinions of others. That's not nice. Well, look, if you can't judge what's right and what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, how do you make decisions for your own life? All right? How do you keep the good people in and keep the bad people out? How do you keep the people who can help you get what you want? And how do you keep the distractions if you can't judge the actions and opinions of other people? Again, nice guys feel that it's wrong to eliminate losers from their life. Losers, distractions, people with different rules, values, and beliefs that you're constantly butting heads up against and it never goes away. You can eliminate those type of people from your life. Nice guys feel it's wrong to see themselves as better than other people. Look, if I went against the president with all his education, all his stepping up, him leading, we may be the same age. I have no problem thinking with everything that he's worked for, everything that he's earned, how he's constantly stepped up to the challenge, if he thinks he's a better person than me. Because he's done the things, the proof's in the pudding. Think about that with yourself. All right? Is it wrong of you? You've challenged yourself, you put yourself under different conditions your whole life to think you're better than someone. If you can't judge that, it's not what a nice guy does. You're going to be leading back to not being that good salesman for yourself. You're not going to appreciate your talents. All right. Now, again, don't go to the extreme. That doesn't mean, hey, I'm better than anybody else, so I'm not going to act cocky and arrogant. I'm not telling you to say that. I'm saying that you can differentiate those who have done the job in their life and those who haven't. And if you've done the job and they haven't, it's okay to notice those differences. Nice guys do not think it's right to demolish their opponents. Just winning with the utmost respect of the other person's feelings is good enough. And that's what they are striving for in conflict, confrontation, competition, in the workplace, and even friendly competition. A leader does what it takes to win. He isn't trying to win and be nice at the same time. If he is nice and winning, well, that's a byproduct. All right? You always hear about those stories, or you see them in the movies, where our hero is about to kill the villain, and then he's a nice guy and lets him off the hook, and he's got the blade right to his throat and lets him off the hook. And then guess what? The monster, the demon, his nemesis comes back and almost kills him, right? Don't let him off the hook. When someone's after you, when you're in that competition, whether it's friendly, because where you show up in one area of your life, you're probably going to show up in all areas of your life. When it's time to demolish the opponents, don't be nice about it, because if you try to be so smooth and so gentle, the chances are you're going to come up short. It's going to come back to haunt you. Nice guys use qualifying statements and qualifiers before they say anything because they don't want to offend anybody. And those are things like, hey, I know this may make you mad, or you may think this is awkward, or, just say what you need to say. That's what a leader does. That's what an alpha male does. That's what earns you the respect. Just say what you mean. Get in the habit. Get rid of the qualifiers where, well, you know what? You probably have people in your life. Hopefully you're not one of those people who always, they want to tell you something, but they just kind of stammer around, so conscious of your feelings. And you know what? Is there a way? If someone agrees with something, they agree. If they don't agree, they don't agree. All right? Get in the habit of just saying what you want to say. Get rid of the qualifying statements. Nice guys feel they have to react to everything that is said to them. Like if someone tells you something funny that you don't think is funny, or they're trying to shake you up or whatever. You don't have to. And a good leader really judges and doesn't give comments or reactions. They don't read books that people tell them on anybody else's time frame. Nice guys feel they have to be jumping through other people's hoop, being their dancing monkey. They've got to react to everything that's said to them. All right? Lead your own life, and you will in turn lead others. Don't feel you have to react to everything that's said to you. Nice guys feel they need to explain themselves to other people over and over and over again. They make a decision. They finally step up and do make a decision. Oh, and they feel it's so necessary to explain every emotion that they went through, every step that they taught, being so politically correct, so cautious of another person's feelings because they made a decision. You don't need to explain anything. Just do it. Get in the habit of fewer words, more action. So, with everything that I've talked about during this session, how do you define the following words now? Do you see them any differently? What have you learned, if anything? All right? If I gave you $1 million, if you could creatively do so, how would you put a positive spin on those words and describe them in a way that a powerful leader, an alpha male, would? All right, so I talked about a lot of things. I used words at the beginning that I know by going through this exercise with many guys who pride themselves on being a nice guy, those same guys who feel they're being pushed aside, they're not being listened to, they're not getting what they want, they're not influential and persuasive to other people. At the same time, I give them the words, and they have so many negative connotations to them. So I am going to challenge you to be a creative spin doctor. I want you to look at these words now with everything that I've stimulated in your brains, the different ways to look at things. And I want you to come up with the most empowering way to describe these words. Pushy, cocky, selfish, self-absorbed, arrogant, conceited, workaholic, obsessed, fair, humble, sensitive, conflict, confrontation. With everything that we've talked about during this session, how can you use those words differently than maybe you saw them before? How would an alpha male, how would a leader put a spin on those words in an empowering way? In an empowering way that not only empowers his own life and gets him more options for the things in his life that he really wants. Tell me how those words can also help other people with your leadership, with your guidance, with your influence, with your direction. Spin those words for the exercise of it to stimulate a different thought process that's going to take you in a different direction. Describe those words in a way that can help you win at a greater level and help other people win at the same time. Take notes. Write down your thoughts. Continue to learn from this. Keep all of your chapter and all of your notes for review later. And continue learning from this process. 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 Learning from this process.